Morning, Dawn. It's Dave from the Post and Courier back in South Carolina. Hope you're doing well. It's you versus Vic Schaefer again. You have met up with him a lot of times in championship scenarios and done very well. How much does history play into this matchup, if it does at all? How much do you think you knowing Vic as well as you do plays into this?
I would say all of it plays into it. You know, we've had our battles in the SEC, and Vic's done a great job at Texas in his first year to get them to this point. You know, I knew he'd be ready to play Maryland. I knew he'd come up with a game plan that gives him a chance to win. I've been on the other side of that a lot of times. I think we've played 15 times, and they were all barn burners. I always look forward to playing Vic because of what he puts into his scouting reports, his game plan, and his scheming. So tomorrow night won't be any different.
Next question is from Dick. Please state your name and unmute yourselves and state your name and affiliation.
Hi, Dawn. This is Dick Cox with Lindy Sports and Cox Sports Broadcasting. Two quick questions. First one, do you feel like that yesterday's game may have been the best game you've played all year long as a team? Because you had three players in double figures, two with 9, one with 8, and one with 6, and it seemed like every player seemed to make a big play during the game for you. And second of all, do you have any concerns of playing Texas in Texas next round? It's supposed to be a neutral court, but do you feel like it's going to be a neutral court?
Was it our best game? I don't know if it was our best game. I mean, I think when we're talking about playing our best game, we are shooting the ball the way we shot the ball, of course, yesterday. But defensively, I just thought we had some miscues. We had to make some adjustments early in the basketball game and how we were defending ball screens because we weren't as locked in as we usually are on that side of the basketball. I mean, I like the way we shot the ball. I mean, I like the way we fluidly shot the ball. We took the shots that were there, and there were very little lapses in which we didn't shoot. I actually thought Henny gave up some shots, a lot of shots that, you know, I felt like she should have shot that ended up in maybe a turnover or, you know, a less appealing shot. I thought Zaya Cook shot the ball extremely well. I mean, when she saw the first 2 threes go in, you know, you can relax a little bit and know that this might be one of those games in which we have it going on from outside the 3. But I just thought we were pretty efficient offensively. Defensively, I thought Nell did a great job at exploiting some things out there on the floor, utilizing her big guards in post-up situations, and we didn't handle that as well as I would have liked us to handle it. But we did enough on the offensive end, and we've done enough defensively over a 40-minute period that we put ourselves in a position to win. And then, you know, playing in Texas against a hot Texas team at this point, does it create an advantage? I would say so. I mean, it's a bus ride away for them, and they'll probably have a lot more people in the building cheering for them. And you know, for us, we're gonna get on social media and see how many Gamecocks in Texas are in reach that could get to the game to even it out a little bit. But you know, we played in this environment all season long. We look forward to having many people in the stands to enjoy what will be, I'm sure, a great, hard-fought Elite Eight game.
Next question is from Joe. Joe, please unmute yourself and state your name and affiliation.
Hi, Dawn. This is Joe Gorcha from WIS-TV in Columbia. You mentioned Zaya Cook and the fact she got off to a hot start. Since the first game in the tournament to where she is now, do you sense she's more comfortable, assertive in her role? How would you just describe her development over these last couple of weeks as you guys make this journey to Elite Eight against Texas? Well, you'll need Cook to be that force on the floor tomorrow.
I mean, it's been a process for Zaya all season long. I mean, some great games she looks absolutely great. Some games she looks like she's still in the process of becoming great. I just think over the course of these 3 games, it takes some time to get used to playing in a do or die situation. Zaya wants to kill every time that she steps on the floor. Every time she touches the ball, she wants to make something happen. I'd rather coach from that aggressiveness than having to, giddy up somebody. So I think, she during this time has value more than scoring the basketball. She's passing the basketball. She's putting teammates in positions to look great. She's defending. She's doing all the things that a complete player does. And you're seeing her, her journey, her process being completed. And I told her a couple days ago, like, you put too much value on scoring the basketball when you have so many other skill sets that you don't utilize, or you don't even give value to. I thought she made huge adjustments in the Mercer game from the first half to the second half. I thought she came out in our second round game, just adding a little bit more. And then, yesterday I thought she just played great, just was aggressive from the start, from an offensive standpoint, and it is exactly what we've needed each round from her.
Next question is from Greg. Greg, please unmute yourself and say your name and affiliation.
Hey, Dawn, this is Greg Hadley from the State Newspaper. I was just looking at that matchup between Charlie Collier and Aaliyah Boston. How do you evaluate that, and what do you think Aaliyah needs to do to slow her down? Because she's obviously played some great post players this year, but that's a tough one for sure.
It is a tough one. I think Aaliyah looks forward to challenges, especially the people that are, her height. I think what Aaliyah has to do is just continue doing what she does. Keep Collier in front of her, make her make tough shots over her, sprint the floor, get deep post-ups. At this stage of the game, you can't do anything different than what you've already done. If Aaliyah is able to just do what she's done for us all season long, we've ended up winning those battles. But certainly, she's got to win that battle, against Collier.
Next question is from Michelle. Michelle, please unmute yourself and state your name and affiliation.
This is Michelle Vopel of ESPN.com. Coach, if I could follow up a little bit on what David asked about the familiarity with Coach Schaefer. Obviously, we saw last night he held the top scoring team in the country 30 points below their average. How much of an advantage, if you will, is it that you do know his defensive tendencies so well, and that I know it's a different team, but what he does, how much of an advantage is that, and how different will it be facing a Texas than say a Maryland, which is a high scoring team? How different is that matchup for you guys?
It's probably a great thing, to have some familiarity with Texas and Vic, because of our long rivals in the SEC, especially at this stage of you get, one day to prepare for them. And it's good to know what you're going to be faced with, because you've seen it so many different times. And I said this before, I look forward to it, because it's, he's trying to outfox us and we're trying to outfox him, and when he comes up with the game plan. And fortunately for us, we've been pretty successful, because we know. It wasn't easy by any means. Every game that we played was a close match for us. And that's why I look forward to it, because you know what you know what to expect. And then the difference, it's a totally different. You look at a powerful, offensive team like Maryland, that they play beautiful basketball. When they're able to play their style of play, push the ball down the floor, share the ball, give up a good shot for a great shot. The unselfishness that they play with was, it's head scratching. It does have you, scratching your head to see, what do you want to take away? What do you What are you going to allow? And then you come back and play with a stingy defensive team like Texas. It is two different ends of the spectrum, but one that, for us, we played against many styles this year. I credit our non-conference season. I credit our SEC conference for putting us in a position where I don't think any style of play is going to catch us off guard.
Next question is from Nancy. Nancy, please unmute yourself and state your name and affiliation.
Hey, Don, it's Nancy Armour with USA Today Sports. You were very forceful in your criticism of the inequities of the tournament. We've got Adia making the Elite Eight. I'm wondering how important it is to see the emergence of this next generation of coaches and what kind of message that might send to other younger coaches coming up.
The message is keep your eyes open. It's no different than, if you see something, you have to speak up, and injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And if you don't speak up, you'll continue to be looked over. You'll continue to not get what you're supposed to get. And I don't have the personality that just allow things to happen. I don't. I've never been that way. If I saw somebody in my earlier days being bullied in elementary school, middle school, high school, I said something, and I could not. Obviously I did not. I thought about it. I actually put some thought into what was happening here, and I tried to hit all the points that were more important than, again, just the weight room issue and the swag bag, because those are just, those are smaller issues, that we face, everywhere we are, not just in sports and, corporate America, all over the world. Women are put in those compromising situations, and, either you're going to speak out on it or you're not, and you're a part of the problem. So I hope in speaking out that the younger generation of players and coaches really can keep their eyes open and make sure they are protecting our game. Our game is a beautiful game. When you see the games last night, you see all the teams that are here, the 64 teams that have played. It's an incredibly beautiful game, and it can only get better if you pour into us. And I'm not saying people haven't poured into women's basketball, but if you poured more into women's basketball, you'll get an incredible product that can be revenue producing if you do that. But if you don't, you're always going to be put in a situation where you're always going to point to that. But if you don't put into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. It's the way of the world. If I don't pour into our players, they'll be the same people or players that they were when they walked into our program, 18 years old, 17 years old. If they don't grow and become young women by the time that they leave our program, I've done them a disservice, and I just can't have that on my conscience.
Next question is from Faith. Faith, please unmute yourself and state your name and affiliation.
Hi, Coach. Faith Woodard with Next Star Media Group. Quick question for you. I'm a former player at Georgetown University, and when I played, I know a lot of, people who scored a lot of points, got rebounds, sometimes got the accolades, and, a lot of the write-ups and things like that. But I'm wondering who your unsung hero is. Maybe that person who jumps on those loose balls, maybe a person who, brings a lot of energy to the court, or maybe even someone who makes sure that her teammates get on the bus on time. So who is your unsung hero for this tournament?
Hey, Faith, we recruited you at Temple.
No, that was my like slight. Hi, coach. How are you?
um, you said hero. We have heroes because there are a lot of them. I mean, I'm going to start with 2 or 3 players that don't get in the game. You know, Nia Russell, Olivia Thompson, Alyssa Westlake. They don't really get in games, but they prepare us every single day. You know, they embrace their roles. They may not like it, and I don't really expect them to like it. But they respect it, they embrace it, they do what they need to do to prepare us, and that is to be awarded. It's not, you know, it's not cute. It ain't, you know, it ain't one that gets a whole lot of notoriety. But they do it, and they do it every single day. And then you look at Lily too. Lily is, you know, she's got a foot injury that prevents her from playing. You can never tell by the energy that she's giving out on the bench. You look at Victoria Saxton. You know, it has that personality that I was talking about earlier, that she really doesn't care about being spotlighted. She doesn't care about coming in here and talking to the media. She only wants to do what her role is for us, to win basketball game, and she is totally satisfied with that. But she doesn't get the media exposure, but she certainly gets it from her teammates, and she gets it from her coaching staff. She gets it from her family, and she gets it from our fans. So they understand, you know, the importance of that role. And then Bree Bill, you know, I mean, look at Bree. I mean, Bree is Illinois', you know, she scored the most points in Illinois girls basketball history. And then she comes to our team, and she's barely scratching the surface of what she did in high school offensively. But what does she do? She's not one-dimensional. So she brings all that other, you know, that grit, that rebounding, that defending. I mean, how many times have you all seen her block a jump shot? Time and time again. Who's doing that besides Bree and V? Like, consistently. You can tell by their play who they are. They're very self-assured. They're people who you know will always be successful because they work behind the scenes, and they work when the cameras aren't on. Because when the cameras do come on, they perform. They perform. And that's why you're asking the question, Faith, because you all see the importance of what they do. And I don't want to stop there either, because even the starters, the people that play, that are in the spotlight, they get a lot of minutes, they're playing a role too. Because, you know, I mean, they could go to other schools and be the face of programs. They could be the ones that are getting 20, 30 attempts a game. But they chose to come here to work as a cohesive unit. And to me, that is heroic.
We've kind of gone over our time limit, but I'm going to allow for one more question, and that's from Pepper.
Hi, Coach. It's an honor to talk with you today. And at the beginning of the press conference, you talked about your team really shooting well against Georgia Tech. And since Texas cut down Maryland's scoring by 20 points, how do you continue that offensive momentum playing against Texas?
Excellent observation, Peck. It's difficult. You know, it's going to be a difficult match. And I've always said, because we've been in this position before, the Elite Eight game is the toughest game. The toughest game, because that is the threshold that you have to get over to get to the Final Four. So how we do it is we try to stay as fluid as possible offensively. Just take the shots that the defense is giving us. Don't over dribble, don't overpass. But take the shots that the defense gives you, and you as an offensive team, you have to be able to make that in a split decision. I mean, a split second, because you won't have a whole lot of time, because the way Texas plays defense, they're always going to get back into play. So once we get ahead of possession, we need to stay ahead of the possession and take the shots that the defense gives us.